Let's get this thing going.
Check 1, 2.
The Hip Hop Study Hall podcast with DJ Ekin starts now.
About hip hop.
And you stepped into the technology space. And I want to talk about this thing that you came up with. You move, and it's crazy. And this is another thing that I love about talking to you is that I don't think you see a ceiling. I think that you see opportunity every day that you wake up, and that's what I've seen to learn about you and the crew that you guys, that how you guys run. It's like we see opportunity, like, you know. And so when you move in this tech space, you guys come up with this thing called Recordgram. And what is Recordgram exactly?
Yeah, so like I guess during my in 2012, I was actually flying on a plane. I was with Eric Mendelsohn. We were flying out to San Fran, and I'm like, hey, I think I had like a show at the time, and I'm like, man, I got this idea for an app. And Eric looks at me and he's like, you always have these ideas, you know. And I'm like, no, seriously, I got this idea. And I told it to him on the plane, and he's like, yo, that's an incredible idea. So he's like, you know what, while we're in San Fran, I'm going to go see if I could talk to some of the VCs. You know, VC is a venture capital. So basically the people who fund technological ideas, or at least what I thought at the time. And then I realized when we got there, no one, you know, me being a big artist, no one took a meeting. No one cared about, you know, what I had to say or offer. And there was one, I forgot the name of the company, but they actually did take the meeting. And they said the idea sounds great, but said, where's the product? You know, do you guys actually build something? And I realized that I had to put my money where my mouth was. So we decided to start developing different music apps. And one of the apps we got into developing, myself, Blackout, and Eric, is an app called Recordgram, which is now called Creator. Okay. And the whole premise of it is to democratize the recording process. And people will ask, well, what does that mean? Well, there's a lot of people, no matter in this world, not just the United States, that do not have access to a recording studio. These phones, you know, these phones that we have are so powerful. How can we create a studio in a phone? And then create something cool enough for people to be attracted to it, so they'll actually use it. And then maybe even reach out to some producers to actually upload real music, real Grammy Award-winning producers, upload real music to it, and have people come in and record. And the process has definitely been a learning curve from then to even now. I'm not gonna lie, but we built it. We started understanding how to pitch, understanding how to accept investment, which is a whole learning curve within itself. We went through in what they call an incubator, which basically teaches you point A to point B in the world of technology. So it was really learning something brand new. I knew music. I still know music, and that's what I know. But technology, stepping into it 2012, I had to legit learn, I had to learn to walk again, basically. Right. And, you know, we did some amazing things. We, like you mentioned, we did TechCrunch Disrupt, which is like this really huge competition the winners are typically like the most coveted technology companies that are coming into space. And we happened to actually win TechCrunch in 2017. So dope. That was, to me, like that win was like equivalent to This Is Why I'm Hot being the #1 record in the country, because that win solidified me as a person who is in the tech industry. And from there, I basically just hit the ground running, saying, hey, anything moving, I want in, basically. Right. On the technology side, I don't care what it is. I want to learn about it, and I want in, because this is the way to revolutionize the future.
Yeah, I think a lot is missed too when you talk about, like, I look at so many things, and like I said, as I'm moving more into these spaces, right, and I'm in these rooms, and I'm like I'm like a wide-eyed kid. I'm like, wow, this is really going on. And I think that what's missing in the old way of thinking, and you started the interview off like this when you said, like, you don't want to be the old guy. And I think I understand that well, because what I venture with us right now is how our parents or uncles felt when we first jumped into this hip hop thing, right? They were like, why would you do that? You know, so when I see these kids, right, and everybody talks about how a kid is buried in their phone, then perhaps we may need to go there and talk to them. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean stand beside them and ask them, why are you always on your phone? Maybe understand what they're doing in the phone, and then communicate with them in that space. And that doesn't mean to say that because I still want kids to very much be able to have this conversation as well. But maybe walking to them where they're talking at and actually listening, then you bring them back up to where they like, damn, I want to talk to you here too. I think that's a big thing that we miss, like where we can communicate with them at. And it's not like, believe me, I'm like you, man. Like I do feel like I'm older than a lot of these kids that are doing different things now, whatever. But I also am intrigued by how they moving. I'm intrigued by like, damn. But what I want to help them connect the dots to, and I like the way you think as well, is don't forget your business though. And let me show you about this though, because we've been through this part already. We just didn't do it with the phone, but Mims been through this part already with the label. So just because you made this song and you like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm moving around YouTube, some of that is still just like what Mims went through. Very much, keeping up with with your views and that sort of thing. Go ahead.
No, I agree with you, and watch this. I'm gonna show you something crazy that I'm actually investing in now. And people will, when they hear it, they're like, what? So there's this thing now of well, we call it Web3. So Web3 is basically what people have been hearing called the metaverse. You hear this thing called the metaverse being thrown around,
right?
And in this terminology. Well, the cool thing about the metaverse and something that's happening right now is called play to earn. It's when you can play video games and actually earn money from playing video games. And it's not, you don't have, yes, there's esports, which is a little different. You have people playing PlayStation 5 or Xbox, and they're actually playing like 2K or any of these games to actually win money. It's a little bit different, right? So Web3 are web-based games, and people actually playing for cryptocurrency, which they can obviously in return trade in to make money. So what's cool about that to me is two things. One, when my era growing up, I was told video games will get you nowhere. Stop playing those video games.
Right.
Get away from that screen. And now now my rebuttal to that is, how could you say that? There are people out there that are billionaires because they've created games like Fortnite. There are people out there who are billionaires because they're playing. Not billionaire, but millionaires, because they're playing video games and they're live streaming it. So that no longer applies. And I think what you just said resonates with me, because as we get older, we start to realize that there are trends that are being set by the younger audience, and it may not fit or align what we used to do. And we try to push ourselves onto them to say, hey, go outside and throw a football around. Now, I still believe you should go outside and throw a football around,
right.
but I'm not going to knock you if your head is buried in a computer and you're playing video games and you're earning a living for yourself, because it's just, it's their day and age now. And what I do now is I want to learn about it. Maybe not to be an avid video game player, but as a young Black entrepreneur, I want to learn about these things so I can invest in them, so that I can play my part in that world as well. So,
right. So when we're talking about the metaverse, right? Do you think that, and this is a very real thing to me, do you think that, because like I said, me personally, and I think somebody posted something yesterday and I was like, I ain't sure if I'm ready to go in the metaverse because I don't totally understand it. Do you really feel, seriously? And this is actually a Black-brown question. As a Black-brown person, it's a space you definitely should be paying attention to, though, before we get left behind. Because a lot of times I feel like that's what happens to us. Because, I'm the first to admit, and I try to be candid in these conversations I have. Sometimes if I can't touch something, I'm like, I don't know if I want to rock with that. I just don't know. I just do not know. Yeah. And I know that I'm not the only person, period. But since I relate so heavily to Black and brown people, I know that we'd be like, nah, I can't put that in my pocket. You know how a lot of us are. If we can't touch the money, we ain't got it. When reality is, if you can count the money in your pocket, you really ain't got none. In reality, that's not wealth.
I think it's two ways to look at that, right? So like for me, from an investment standpoint, I want in because I want to sustain my future of my child, the future of the people around me. So if as a Black man, I want to be in the room, right? Like I actually get upset when I'm not in the room, because I'm like, man, I'm missing something. And what I realized with technology, it's, there's definitely issues. There's social issues everywhere. Being Black is not easy, especially being a Black man now in today's day and age is not easy. But that to me, I don't want to use that to limit me from being in the room. Because when I get in that room, yeah, you're going to see my color, but you're also going to see that I did my research and my homework. And when I come in there, speak to me like you speak to everyone else, because I came in with the ability to know what I'm talking about. That's one aspect. Now I don't use social media, right? I chose I have my own personal reasons for not using social media the way that everyone else does, right? And that's because I've lived maybe 4 or 5 years of my life in front of a camera where I felt like I didn't have any privacy. So coming out of that, I decided that it wasn't for me. There
Right.
are things that you should be allowed to miss as a person. If you enjoy privacy, if you enjoy your solitude, then I can never knock you for not jumping into things like the metaverse and things of that nature. Because the truth is that we're about to enter a world. We're literally, I mean, it's called the metaverse. We're literally entering a different world, and some people will get it and some people won't. And I don't think it's for everyone. I approach it more from I'm curious to see where technology is going, and I'm also approaching it from an investment standpoint, to sustain, because I'm the type of person, if I can put some money here, and just like if someone told me 15 years ago to drop money on Apple instead of buying all those cars I bought,
Right.
I'd probably be able to buy an NBA team at this point in time. And I think that that's what I'm in it for, is the understanding that this is the greatest transfer of wealth ever, that we'll ever live through for us right now. This is our era's transfer of wealth. And that's why I believe everyone should start at least paying attention to blockchain, to the metaverse, to NFTs, all of these keywords that you start hearing. Just do some research, watch a couple YouTubes and see if there's something you can gain from it, or a perspective, and, get in it.
Right.
Like if from an investment standpoint, at least, right?
I see you, and I hope that you are enjoying this Hip Hop Study Hall podcast. It's your man, DJ Ekin. If indeed you are, don't forget, man, hit that subscribe button, all right, so you can get the alerts of when every new piece of content drops, all right? We here. It's Hip Hop Study Hall, y'all.